Welcome to the Chinoiserie Dress tutorial for adding the tier to the bottom. Put your paper pattern together just as you did in the last video, and the things you'll need are exactly the same. The only thing you're adding is a ruler or a measuring tape. If you are taller, you're going to need to lower the measuring tape as many inches as you need to the bottom of your pattern. So whatever you added, and then subtract 10 from the bottom of that. If you are the height of the pattern, which is 5'4" or 5'3", just use the bottom of the pattern and subtract 10 inches from that. Now what I did was I drew a line across my paper pattern by measuring 10 inches up. I did this because I didn't want to ruin the paper pattern, but you are welcome to cut into it if you would like. You need to do this to the back and the front of your pattern so that it measures equally all the way across and your tier isn't going to be lopsided at the end. Then you're going to fold your fabric like this, and make sure you fold your fabric like this because it does come in handy, I promise you. Place your pattern on the folded side, and then you're going to pull that line all the way down to the bottom, leaving about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. This side over here is 10 inches, and it's going to be the exact size that you need for your tier. You're then on the folded side going to cut out all of your other pieces and your tier will be left. The next step would be just in the previous video on how to assemble the body, assembling the body, and then coming back here to attach the tier to the bottom. Okay, so I'm kind of getting ahead of myself in this video, but I'm gonna just show you what you need to do. So this was one long panel as we saw, and it just has one open end. You're going to take that open end and you're going to sew it closed. Make sure that right sides of the fabric are put together, and then you sew your inner seam with your zigzag stitch as in the instructions, and then a straight stitch next to it, or if you have a serger that will just clean that up, do a serge and then a straight stitch right next to it. And then that's going to create this loop of the bottom part of the tier of the dress, and then we're going to gather it. When you are gathering, you are going to, and my machine's being a little iffy right now, but as you can see, it's gathering for me. I turned up my length to 4, and we're just going to take the thread up here, as you can see my fingers up here, and you're just going to barely pinch it, just barely. And then when you're sewing, oh, please don't be iffy. Okay, you're just going to barely pinch it, and it's just going to kind of gather it all. And we're going to gather the top part of that all the way around. Okay, and once you're done, make sure the tails on your thread are extra long, just in case if you need to get rid of some, and we might need to pull some extra in. So this is the bottom tier. So your last part is going to be hemming the bottom of this tier, and you can do this at the end if you want to, or you can do it now. I find that it's easier to do it now because you don't have the whole dress hanging off the machine. It's just the little sliver of fabric here. So use your discretion if you'd want to do that. Now we're going to attach the tier to the top of the dress. Make sure the top of your dress is right sides facing up and the tier is right sides facing down. The gathered portion of your tier needs to match the size of the bottom of your dress, so you may need to pull that depending on how much your machine gathered the top portion of that. You're then going to line up one side seam, as your tier only has one side seam, and you're only going to use one thread if you do need to pull the gather a little bit more. Don't use the other side thread because it will lock it in place and you won't be able to pull that gather anymore. You're then going to measure out the gather as much as you can to make sure that it's perfect. Pin it in place, pin that side seam in place to keep it all together, and then you're going to sew a straight stitch with a zigzag stitch or a serge stitch on the end of that. And then this is what it should look like. So beautiful. I hope you enjoyed this video and your dresses turn out lovely. Bye!